digital doubles, right? Making digital humans. And the idea of being able to scan, model, and clone and start to render, it was like as soon as we turned over to have like nice skin shaders and stuff, we started thinking about like, we could make some really good CG doubles and they could do stunts. And then from The Matrix, we got like Pirates of the Caribbean 2, where suddenly you had Jack Sparrow's bouncing off of like, falling down like a Looney Tunes character and stuff like that. And we've gone through the throes of it, and then we entered into the phase of, what's his face? Social Network.
Yeah, the Winklevoss twins or whatever.
Yeah, Winklevoss twins. So you got to social network phase where suddenly you're doing, there's only one of these actors. There's no twins at all, but we're just doubling their face and you never knew. Or Benjamin Button, you started having these things where like we're passing it off as real. And now we're in the final phase of it where every single movie that costs over $100 million in existence is mandatorily scanning every single actor that's inside of them. And then they can use those actors for, in the event of like, look at the Star Wars movies, like we can bring young Carrie Fisher back. We can bring old Carrie Fisher back, which is what's going to happen in episode 9, right? Like she's going to be in there and she's going to be CG and her family's going to get paid. They signed on that one. Like, let's do this, because why not just milk that cow one more time?
Well, right? I feel like they signed it and now, but no one's yet seen the true repercussions of it.
Yeah. So you have, so pretty much we have a database. And you're starting to see it come to a head. I think Entertainment Weekly, they just in the last like week, there was a bunch of news stories that came out where Digital Domain wanted to publicize their department. And you're starting to see both sides where there's the, hey, look at this cool technological angle of thing we're doing now. And then there's also the foreboding like, ooh, is this bad? And then you have the actors union being like, we'd like to get rid of this and stuff like that. Obviously you can't get rid of it once the cat's out of the bag, people are going to keep signing, and you can just put that log line on the contract and it's like, sign it or don't sign it. You're going to be scanned. But with this comes all these stories of actors where like, I don't want to do all the facial expressions. I don't know how you're going to use them. You might make a sex tape of me or something. You could, or like, and it goes on, and they realize that there's nothing that's going to stop the technology from photoreal humans and the recreation of those. So I was reading about this, and I've gone back and forth on it, left and right, and it's interesting because it's something that we do too, because we're making games now. So the workflow that we have right now for our game characters is we cast somebody before we make the model of the character, and we cast them so that we can scan them. So we have, because I've been playing, we haven't executed on it yet, but I want to have the ability to do live action sequences with the actors potentially. And so rather than trying to cast a lookalike and do a cosplay thing, I'm like, let's just do it the film way of, let's get somebody, let's do wardrobe, let's get the costume ready, and then let's scan them, model it, and have that all ready, and we'll have both. And then the technology also emerged in the real-time environment to use Apple's their FaceTime capture.
Yeah, the Animoji system.
The Animoji system, yeah, and you can actually pipe that to characters in Unity now. And so we can use that for the facial capture. So we now have both workflows where it's like we can take as realistic of a character as we want, as we can make, and put them in there and have them talking in game, or we could do a live action equivalent of them and film a live action sequence, etc. And theoretically, these technologies merge to being interchangeable. And then it comes down to the wonderful state of what's the best tool for the job. It's like, do we want to do we want to film you right now? Do we want to scan you right now? Do we want to bring you back in for this? Do we want to do a digital pickup? And these options are very liberating as a creator. But the exception is that actors take exception to it, because I think the way they're trying to phrase it is I think it's the wrong angle right now, but it's kind of the obvious angle is, you can imagine like they're going to bring me back when I'm dead against my will. I'm not going to, like, they can just keep making movies with me and I won't need my consent. And that's terrible. Isn't that spooky? And it's like,
if your only value is your facial structure, then maybe.
Yeah. It's like, I kind of call bullshit on that, because I don't think you're worried about when you're dead. I think your agent's telling you this cuts into your value, because who gets paid the most on a movie, right? It's the talent,
actor,
right? The actor, especially, an A-list actor gets paid way more than the guy shining the light at the actor or the person pointing the camera. And why is that? It's scarcity, right? There's only one of them. And inherently with the filmmaking process, you've sold the audience on their face, the value they bring people into the theater now. They've been built up. And so that's where the value is. So they demand really high rates. And they all have writers where it's like, hey, if you need to do pickups of me, that's going to be an extra, like, say, Robert Downey Jr. or something. It's like, that's another $500,000 for like 2 days of a day or something like that, like ridiculous rates, right, to come in. And suddenly the studio goes, we just need like a couple wry smiles out of Robert Downey Jr. It's like, it costs 500 grand and we'll agree to give him 500 grand. But what it turns out is we're just going to tell him, hey, we got everything we needed. No reshoots needed. But what they're going in and doing is they're getting all the pickup shots they need of him and not paying him. And that's really the problem. And that's the problem in the agent's mind and in the actors. So
That's
it's
a
all
good
about money.
thing. That's a good thing. I'm gonna be honest. That's a great thing.
Well,
'cause
it's a
screw getting paid $500,000 for 2 days of work. That's a total like mess up of like the economic structure of a movie. If that's where your values are going, because that's
If the animator finds it morally reprehensible, you know what? They're going to find another animator. If the actor finds it, they're the only one that has like some weight to throw around because that's their leverage. And so they're
To me,
seeing
that's
their
fixing-
leverage getting chiseled away.
that's fixing an economic pinch bottleneck in films that should be fixed.
Yeah.
You know?
And now I'm like bunkering down and getting ready for the battle because I'm like, the actors, before you know it, they're going to have the actors union like picketing out in front of the studios like, no digital humans. And it's going to be all these people that haven't had a chance to act yet that could be hired to be Robert Downey Jr. that aren't going to get that job. And they're having them go out there and picket so they can like try to win favor with the actors union.
well,
And they're going to manipulate them.
I think it's because you gotta I think get down on a deeper level with this though, because I understand your point, Niko, about I guess the inflation of like the economics of entertainment, through this. You have a celebrity, millions and millions of dollars, kind of sets a standard in a way, and then it all trickles down from there.
It's basically a monopoly on a small scale.
It is, but like let's work on. Like I think it's about we need to get to why you think that, because I think along the way, I think there's some things we're not considering here. So like, what is the value of a celebrity? What ultimately is it? Is it their face? It's not just
It
their
should be
face.
the performance.
Well, it's unfortunately not just the performance. It's a combination, I would say, of three things. You have their face,
Yep.
slash their physical form. You have the second of which is their, I guess, performance slash their decision making process, because that is generally unique to a performer. How creative are you? How can you work emotions and manipulate an audience, et cetera, et cetera. So there's the actual craft of the profession, and then I would argue there's probably the last thing, which is the way they are able to control their public appearance, like outside of a performance. You look at Chris Evans going to a hospital, or like how these charity things, or like, oh, they're cool, or they're featured here or there, and so it's this concept of they are also actually a really cool human being. They're a nice person, which then makes it so when you see them in a movie, you're like, that guy is so cool. Also, he's really good at what he does.
He's basically Captain America in real life.
Yeah, so
He is Captain America.
so you have to like consider that. Let's say an actor is doing all of these things as hard as best as they can. They're maintaining their physical form. They're honing in on their craft, and they are trying to be a really great person in real life. And so that's how they create their value, is by just doing all of this. And now you physically scan them, you put them on you make a stamp out of them to put them wherever you want. You kind of, I guess it does go against like the value that actor did create.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what I see is, filmmaking is an artistic process too at the end of the day. And everybody should bring value to the thing that they are truly valuable in. An actor is valuable for their performance, first and foremost. Yes, there's that public persona, but to me, that's really not entirely relevant to what their job is. Just like Roger Deakins, like, he's a great cinematographer and his movies look beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what matters. It doesn't matter that he's got a good public facing brand, so and so much. Ideally they're not like an asshole. That matters. I have a hard time, consuming art from assholes, but for an actor, to me, what's most important is their performance. And when, like you were mentioning, Brandon, like when pickups cost $500,000 a day, or in Bruce Willis's case, probably $1 million a day, because I know Bruce Willis is just straight up $1 million a day.
Yeah.
That's not. There's no performance in like, oh, I need a shot of you like turning to the right because we filmed it on the wrong side on the day, or like cloud was over the sun or something like that. That's just like completely artificial inflation of the budget so you can milk another $500,000 out of the studio. And that's when you get really weird economics in film. And that's when you get barriers of entry to all the other filmmakers trying to get into it. So to me, something like this is opening up that creative pathway and letting the filmmakers make a better movie, which at the end of the day is better for the people consuming the movie.
Yeah.
And the actor's still getting paid, but they're getting paid for what their actual value is, which is the craft of acting.
Also, there's an opportunity cost, right? It's like you can only make so many movies a year because you only have so much time. But suddenly, if it's like, wow, we only need you, like real you for 2 months and then digital you for the rest, then suddenly there's more things to be done. So there's less scarcity of that resource. Like maybe, like you commented, you met the Rock, and you commented like, how does he do so many things a day? What if it comes out that half the time it's just digital Rock? You know,
He's a
like,
twin brother. It's-
Probably.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Well,
what
I
if that's
mean,
a dirty secret
definitely.
that he's hiding? Like, he's like, I've been like half the shots you see of me are CG.
That's why his head is shaved.
And that's why, see, he's already
easier
made
to
his
render.
body. Easier to render. He's always greased up and shined up, right? Like, that dude is CG almost all the time. And the other, I have to preface this with saying, like, I have nothing. There's probably just a few bad actors that are spoiling it for the bunch, and most of them are probably very pure and true.
Yeah.
But the insurance policy is often because there's a high rate of like overdose and drug abuse and getting out of shape that happens right after films. It's like a spike. Like there's a high, like if you looked at the data analysis of all actors for the last 50 years, post big movie, like that's when they go to rehab, right? And it's like, why is that? Is it, they'd like to say, is it the stresses of the job? Is it, it's like this role was so emotionally taxing? I don't think so. I think you just cashed a big check. You have a huge block of free time, and you're just going hard partying for a few months, and then they end up OD'd, and then it's like, now we can't even get you for the reshoots, and you're out of shape, like Ben Affleck after Superman, or no, Batman, the Batman vs Superman movie. They ended up doing CG him for reshoots because he got so like bloated and out of shape. He didn't maintain his physique, you know, after, because why would he, right? And it's like, and maybe there was a little bit like he didn't want to make that movie. He just wanted the check, right? He's like, I'm just gonna power through this garbage movie so that I can get this check. And what did he do afterwards? He partied. He hit it hard. And so they didn't use him for reshoots. They CG'd him because he was done. So it's like insurance policy pays off. It's like you got what you wanted. A lot of zeros in the bank account. We got what we want.
He wanted to direct the next one.
And he wanted to direct the next one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not arguing against it. I think it's super valuable, and I think everyone should do it. But I think it's the question of like, it's trying to do that as like it completely in lieu of something that you should be probably roping the actor into. But at this point, the thing is, anytime you're doing that for a movie, your budget's so high that half of the movie's in animation at that point, and having real actors is kind of irrelevant anyways at that point.
Yeah, like the CG almost blends better with the CG backgrounds.
Yeah, it's not, you don't want someone on a damn
thing.
green screen.
Look,
Yeah,
you're already,
like, it
you're
just
already a
wrecks it.
puppet anyways. Might as well just put a couple more strings on that face of yours.
Yeah, and I sympathize with the actor side of you too. I come
Yeah.
off very one-sided because I'm kind of like anticipating like a frustrating campaign leveraged by the actors' unions to try to like get public opinion behind them, because actors are influencers, so they'll try to be like, no, we can't do this. Like,
I know. Honestly, it's a bunch of just grumpy people and agents probably, because it is the additional money from reshoots. But ultimately, like the way you stomp on that is just you say, all right, in this scene we want you to fly. You know, it's like, can you do that? It's like, we need to scan you, man.
yeah. There's
like-
also some fear too. It's like, if you feel like you're like, I am probably getting paid a little disproportionately for what I'm contributing to this project, I'm gonna be defensive of that position, right? Like if you really feel like you're worth every penny you're making, you're not gonna worry about like, it's just best tool for the job. Like let's make some art here. Let's make something cool.
I think
right?
ultimately that's the mindset that it's, you know, that people have to remind themselves of.
Yeah,
because
I think, like,
that's really what you're doing.
Yeah, like I'd hope that I think it's a more comfortable position. Like you're gonna sleep better at night if you're never trying to get paid more than you're worth, right? Like if you're just trying to like I just want to work hard. I want to use my talents and hard work and energy to get paid what I'm worth. Then it's like that's a position that you can like hang your hat on. Like you'll always have a place in this world if you can bring real
always
value
have
to
worth.
the table.
Yeah.
If you're
Right?
yeah, I mean, and that's how the industry actually really works at its core. It's people who are easy to work with and who enjoy being paid fairly, and et cetera, et cetera. It's like, those are the relationships that last. I think that goes for everything. You know, it's about being honest and having respect for colleagues and having respect for the work that you're doing.
Yeah. So hopefully the system already filters out like the truly bad eggs. Like if someone's a real pain to work with, and you hear some of these stories, sometimes it's like if it's really that bad, their career is probably gonna dwindle and go away. So it's like this. It's probably being embellished a bit if they tend to like stick around for 20-year long careers. It's like someone must like them, right? Like it must be.
The other challenge I really see is that like the one thing that the digital scanning does is it does, when I mentioned the puppet thing earlier, I say that because any like big movie, like a Star Wars film, I mean, really any Disney movie at this point, a Marvel film, a Star Wars film, whatever, like you are basically a puppet. Like they are literally saying the camera's going to make this move over this amount of time. There's your one mark. There's your other mark. You need to say these lines at this cadence while walking at this speed. And at this point, you will smile and look over there.
Yep.
You do not make any decisions. They've all been made for you.
Yeah, well, they've been made by the decisions are made by the previs artist who read the script and then made an animation of the whole movie before you even got to set.
Yeah, it's like Terminator, right? It's like, I want you to come in and say, I'll be back right here, just like you did in the first one. It's like, not just like it, like exactly like it. And so much so that like, we're not even gonna have you do it. We got it. You know, like you are going to make every twitch that you made.
You know, the one thing we're leaving out of this entire conversation is voice. Voice is actually such an important part of performance that you can't quite replicate as easily as everything else.
Not yet. Very
Not
close.
yet. Yeah, do you think
We're on the edge?
Maybe it's just we haven't put as much energy towards synthesizing voices. I feel like audio is always like kind of neglected compared to visual, right? We put emphasis there, but it seems like if we put the same energy towards audio that we did towards video, audio would be leagues beyond where, you know, like if humans just appreciated what our ears did rather than appreciating what our eyes did more, audio's, I think, on a fundamental level, easier to manipulate and create than light is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And compared to like video right now, like when you look at like an uncompressed 16-bit audio channel versus a 4K DNX HR video file, like you're literally using like a 1,000th of the data in your audio stream. And so basically that means you can apply 1,000 times more processing power to manipulating audio, you know? So I'm just, you're right. You're totally right. But I've heard some stuff and they're close. They're very close, super close, but it's still a little robotic and janky, but really close.
I mean, I think that's the one thing that people really underestimate when it comes to performances. I think you can kind of get by looking any way you look as long as you look a little unique in Hollywood. I really don't think looks are as big of a deal as people make them out to be. Like, you're not going to be the dashing, handsome lead, but you can fulfill almost any other role as long as you can kind of play into your archetype, you know?
Yeah.
But to me, like, obviously performance is key, but like, I think what makes a performance more almost than anything else is your voice.
Yeah.
And I think that goes to show, like, when you have something like the Lego movie and they cast all these, like Chris Pratt, you think Chris Pratt would only be cast if you could see him, but he's a good voice actor. A lot of these actors that you think are only popular because they look good, no, it's because they have really good voice acting. So a lot of emotion and inflection comes through in the vocal decisions you make when you're performing. So yeah, watch out when they start you doing audio scans. Like, all right, make all the phonemes or whatever they are.
Yeah.
A-E-I-O.
Yeah, I know. When it's mandatory vocal scanning is where people are really going to throw a fit.
Yeah.
But that's what I was talking about earlier. It is those decisions. And so it's like when you come to that point where you're recreating people, you know, it's not so much about the fact that it's you get less money, but it's the fact that I am then taking your image and I'm putting it on a screen and I'm saying, that's Niko. And you're like, no, that's not, I didn't do that. Like, that doesn't represent me.
Yeah.
And I think I think the true fundamental
It's an actor's
issue.
duty not to just portray another character completely and wholly and eliminate themselves from the process.
Well, then I don't get it. They should, I don't quite get it.
My point being, isn't it important to that when Keanu Reeves is playing Neo, that it is Neo and not Keanu Reeves?
Well, who's going to play Neo then?
Some of the cynic in me just says, like, you cast like the A-lister in your animated movie just so when it comes time for PR, that on Jimmy Kimmel you can be like, we got Chris Pratt here, and he comes and talks, and then they show a trailer for the animated movie. It's like, I don't know, like, are they the best voice actor? They're good, not bad. They get the job done, but objectively the best, probably not. You know?
Yeah.